Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing Shong. Chapter 90. A Reader's Fight. Part 4. Han Suyang asked with a dumbfounded expression. What? What does this mean? Why did he suddenly mention the probability? He is arguing needlessly. Arguing? Why? Why? Was it because I rejected his offer? Doc Gak floated in the sky and reported to the bureau. The probability judgment. I didn't think it would be used in this way. I expected the dakibis of other big channels to start a fight, but I didn't expect it to be like this. Bai Hyung's face turned red and he was tearful as he looked between me and Doc Gak. It looked like tears would burst out as soon as he was touched. What? What do I do now? Tell me honestly. Did he find out about our contract? Bai Hyung shook his head. Did he notice you opening the dakibi bag? That can't be. Really? Probably. Well, don't panic yet. Even if that is the case, it isn't something that is worth asking for a probability conformity request. In the first place, it isn't a violation of regulations. It was true. There was no precedent in which an incarnation made a stream contract or could use the dakibi bag, so it wasn't a direct violation of Starstream's regulations. Bai Hyung belatedly nodded with relief. Why yes. I understand. Seeing this childlike Bai Hyung, I didn't know if he was the dakibi or if I was. I looked at Doc Gak and the low-grade dakibis again. The hashtag BI7623 channel manipulation has been reported. The Bureau is currently discussing this issue. If I was right, the probability request would eventually be cancelled. Although the story would be different if Doc Gak had evidence for this. He was hiding information and I had no way to figure out what it was. Then there was only one way left. Hey, can you stop stalling and quickly give me my reward? Don't you see that the constellations are becoming bored? That is a problem. This is more important than the compensation payout. Have you changed your mind? If you agree with my proposal, I will get rid of all of this for you. I looked up at Doc Gak. Yes, let's try a frontal confrontation. What are your concerns? Let me look. How is the channel I belong to illegally manipulating the scenario? Is there any evidence? I would find out what his evidence was if he had it. If he was bluffing, the situation would end immediately. Doc Gak smiled like he had been waiting. Do you really want to hear it? You will regret it. Tell me. This issue involves you, Kim Dokja. Me? At this moment, I had a thought. Was it because I used future information from the text? But due to the filtering, this information shouldn't have spread to the constellations or the dakibis. Otherwise I would have already been caught in a probability storm. Do you see the screen? A huge screen appeared in the air. The screen showed videos of my recent battles. The first screen showed my conflict with poisoner Lee Seolwa. This is proof. What is the proof? The screen just showed that I didn't kill Lee Seolwa. Doc Gak changed the screen. This is also proof. The second screen showed me watching the battle between Lycaon and Antinous. What was this? This is the third proof. On the third screen, I was attacking the disaster of questions, Myung Ilsang. It was a scene where Myung Ilsang continuously released his seals. Suddenly, my stomach felt pained. What do these screens have in common? I realized it at this moment. This guy wasn't talking to me right now. The constellations looking at the screens, do you have any idea? Everyone in the area became quiet. The fight against the poisoner, the fight against Antinous, and the fight against the disaster of questions. There is one thing these three fights have in common. Then the screen kept changing. He actually had a chance to kill the poisoner and stop the disaster. His finger pointed to the poisoner. He could stop the disaster by killing Antinous. Then he pointed to Antinous. He could have stopped the disaster of questions before the seals were released. He pointed to Myung Ilsang, then he pointed towards me. But he deliberately didn't do it. Wait. You are now. Now I noticed what Dokgak was trying to do. Goosebumps covered my entire body. I see. This was what the Dakibi was planning. Constellations. Incarnation Kim Dokja colluded with the channel streamer, Bai Hyung. He deliberately concealed his strength and manipulated the development of the scenario. He made the scenarios harder for malicious purposes. Then the final screen appeared. It showed me using Way of the Wind to stop Myung Ilsang. He did this to direct the last catharsis. This bastard, he didn't intend to ask for the probability conformity request from the beginning. Dokgak. This was his real purpose. It is just to rip off coins from you. It was the end of Bai Hyung's channel. Some constellations are silent. The evidence that Dokgak exposed didn't violate the terms of the probability conformity judgment. Dakibi's controlling incarnations to make a scenario interesting wasn't uncommon. The problem was the constellations who hated it. The moment they thought I wasn't serious about the scenario, the constellations would lose interest. It was like alienating them from the play. The moment the fourth wall between the audience and the character collapsed, the audience would cool off straight away. This was what Dokgak aimed for. The constellation Bald General of Justice's mouth is gaping open. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is chuckling. The constellation Secretive Plotter shrugs like it is fine. Some constellations were astonished, some constellations had no idea, and some constellations were silent. The problem was the other constellations. Some constellations have left the channel. The constellations questioning the fairness of the channel has left the channel. Some constellations are requesting coin refunds from the channel. The constellations left and Bai Hyung's channel started to shrink. The size of the channel is reduced. The messages continuously popped up. Bai Hyung's pale body was becoming smaller. His horns were shrinking. I eventually sighed. The channel is dead. There was only one way left. I looked at the dwindling number of constellations and spoke to Dokgak. I understand, so give me the compensation when you are done talking. I will accept your offer. Dokgak's lips curved upwards. You are smart. Bai Hyung's eyes grew wider with disbelief. Why you? Don't look at me like that. It can't be helped. I shrugged while speaking in a loud voice. Bai Hyung's lips trembled from the betrayal. This child was scared. Bai Hyung, do you trust me? What? Trust me this once. Aren't you already ruined? I finished the communication and spoke to Dokgak. Start moving. Good. Then let's have a sweet rewards time. Dokgak flicked his fingers and the surrounding landscape disappeared. We reappeared in a room reminiscent of a luxury hotel suite. This was his official post? I looked around a bit nervously. Low tables and chairs suitable for a dakibi were placed over luxurious rugs. There was a wide variety of alcohol on one side. Later I realized that it was a suitable setting for a dakibi who liked to drink. I finished looking around and approached the window. The landscape outside was... Oh my God! A darkness with no end filled my vision. Glittering stars flowed in the darkness of the grand universe. It was a superb vision of the grand universe like endless jewels. The constellations repeated their orbits and rotations, each one part of the huge galaxy. It was funny that at his moment, I was purely impressed. This was the star stream. It was the flow of the great stars that governed all scenarios. Every story began here. It is great. I looked back and saw Dokgak standing there. Sometimes I just stare blankly at this landscape. I never get tired of this sight. You are now. Ah, are you surprised? This is my real voice. It was the first time I heard the dakibi's voice. Previously it was always heard through a broadcast. In other words, the sight before me was Dokgak's real body. Dokgak's eyes shone. What are you thinking about? I asked. What do you think? Do you think I'll kill you? He burst out laughing. You know that is impossible. I'm not crazy enough to fight against a Dakibi either. I like it. Then let's start the contract. Gak flicked his fingers and a Dakibi with a contract appeared before him. It was Bai Hyung. He was tied up by the system and stared at me with reproachful eyes. I brought Bai Hyung as a notary. In any case, you have to break the contract with him to form a contract with me. The cost of the destruction will be covered by Bai Hyung. I was a bit surprised. This guy, he knew about my contract with Bai Hyung. It meant he knew from the beginning that I was a good person to attract the Find an Incarnation group. I pretended to be calm. Do as you like. I don't care. It is good that the story is fast. Would you like to check the contract? It is also my first time making such a contract. I read the contract. Needless to say, the contract was completely full of adverse conditions for me. Donations would be distributed 5:5. There were also some conditions that bound my freedom. Even now, I was the gap instead of the Yule. Gak laughed. How about it? This is the industry average, but I can make some adjustments. It sounded like the industry average. Bai Hyung also tried a similar contract in the beginning. I nodded and said, well, it isn't bad. But before I sign the contract, I have a suggestion. Suggestion? What is it? Isn't it a shame if I'm the only one moving channels? Surely you won't be satisfied with just one thing? There are some strong constellations in my channel. How? Who are they? Prisoner of the Golden Headband, Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, Demon-like Judge of Fire. Gak looked surprised at each modifier. Prisoner of the Golden Headband? I didn't think you would have such constellations. Bai Hyung, you are quite good. Bai Hyung hissed through his gag. I continued speaking. This was the most important part. Honestly, I don't want to leave these constellations behind in this channel. Therefore, I want you to build a bridge so that the constellations can move channels with me. Chapter 91. A Reader's Fight. Part 5. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire will judge your sincerity. The constellation Secretive Plotter is somewhat annoyed. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is actively giving off annoyance. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband asks if you really want to move channels. Gak smiled like he was interested. A bridge? Connect your channel to me. Then isn't it like a duplicated connection? It doesn't matter. You will be able to move channels through me without having to struggle with the constellations. HRMM. That's true. Very interesting. There is also something I'm curious about. Curious about? What types of constellations are in the channel I will contract with? I'm just wondering what a big channel looks like since I've only been in a small channel like this. I would like to see it in advance. Is it okay? I deliberately spoke towards Bai Hyung. Bai Hyung's expression became heard in real time. A smile of satisfactory appeared on Gak's face. Bai Hyung, you signed with a really good incarnation. I really think so. Gak's hands moved through the air and he started to manipulate the system. Good. Then let's show you the air of a big city. The next moment, it felt like a new cord was stuck in my body. There was a definite connection that seemed to lead somewhere. I slowly blinked and felt countless gazes on me. 1, 2, 3, all the hairs on my body rose. It was quite different from Bai Hyung's channel. I could feel their presences just from their eyes. Amazing. This was the channel of a Dakibi who dominated Tokyo Dome? How is it? There is a new league for you to play in. It seemed that there weren't just Japanese constellations. Did this jerk had fixed subscriptions on other continents or worlds? If I worked in such a place, how many coins could I get at once? To be honest, I couldn't even guess. I murmured, great. Isn't this really big? Then the contract. Before that, I want to say hello for a moment. Is that okay? Please do so. Doc Gak made a disgruntled expression, but he eventually allowed it. I started talking with my eyes closed. Constellations of Tokyo Dome. Can you hear me? Some of the constellations who hate the Korean peninsula are looking at you. I'm sure that some of you have heard my story. I am Kim Dokja, the one who smashed the absolute throne and became the king of a kingless world. Please note that I have no sponsor. Well. That's correct. I hope to get along with you in the future. The constellations of Tokyo Dome are listening to you. I only gave a brief introduction, and some constellations were already starting to approach me indirectly. Good. The start wasn't bad? By the way, as a memorial to my channel, I will do a small event. I mean, a joint event between South Korea and Japan. If you are curious, please connect to #BI7623 right now. I will draw tickets for the early constellations and give coins. Then the channel link was disconnected. I opened my eyes and saw Doc Gak staring at me as he asked, "What the hell are you doing now?" What? It is an event. What are you thinking? Do you want to die? The constellations in my channel don't play in such shallow waters. I would gladly give him a surprise, because he cut me off at the point where people were feeling curious. Then Doc Gak's body started to slowly change. Wait, constellations. Where are you going? The flow was changing. Constellations started pouring into Baihyung's channel little by little. A number of constellations have entered channel #BI7623. The channel level has risen. I smiled widely. A lot of you came. Thank you. Are you here for the event? The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is annoyed at the appearance of these constellations. The constellation Maritime War God resents the appearance of hostile constellations. Wait, don't fight. I didn't call you here to fight. The constellation who likes Murasama is urging you to proceed with the coin lottery. Some constellations are asking about the coin event. Don't be in a hurry. I'll do it in a bit. Think about it. Is it so important to get a coin or two? What is the point if you don't have incarnations to spend the coins on? Go slowly, slowly. Some constellations are looking at you with disgruntled eyes. You may have heard of this, but I'll tell you again. I am Kim Dokja, and I don't have a sponsor. I won the war between kings and prevented a disaster before it began. There are probably few incarnations stronger than me if you look around the world. There will be none with no sponsor. By the way, it will be hard to last until the end. Doc Gak started to turn pale as he noticed my intentions. Wait. You. I laughed at Doc Gak. A production? Yes, I would show him what a real production was. Seoul Dome is now ahead of the 5th scenario. If you are smart, you will know what that means. Yes, that's right. There will soon be an event that you will like. Now there was less than a week until the start of the scenario. Before the entire disaster scenario started, a special event would be hosted. A banquet for all the constellations in the star stream. Soon, the second sponsor selection would start. I continued speaking. In celebration, I would like to do a surprise event. If the number of subscriptions to this channel reaches 10,000 on the day of the sponsor selection, the constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is gulping. I will make one of the constellations in this channel my partner. The constellation Secretive Plotter is looking at you with interest. It doesn't matter what gender, race, or world you originated from. It doesn't matter if you are strong or weak, famous or not famous. Anything is okay. What I am looking for is passion. I hope you have the passion to send the end of this damn story with me. The constellation Bald General of Justice wipes his head. Whoever is good. I will be waiting for you. 10,000 viewers. Do you remember? Please convey it to other people properly. Wait a minute. Wait. Just wait. Doc Gak cried out, but it was already too late. There was a wicked voice and unstoppable channel messages. I was dizzy from the indirect messages that came from everywhere. Some time passed. Cold anger rose on Doc Gak's face. He made a decision and raised his hand towards me. Incarnation Kim Dokja. You will die here. Yes, I thought he would react like this. I laughed while pretending to be calm. There are currently many constellations watching. Aren't you afraid of the storm? Don't underestimate the master of Tokyo Dome. There was no patience left in Doc Gak's furious face. Damn. Do you think I can't deal with the probabilities caused by killing a bug like you? Doc Gak's fingers moved. It was a gesture like he was flicking away a bug. Powerful sparks appeared around me. It was the balloon burst that was Doc Gak's specialty. The currents would cause my body to burst like a balloon. My swollen intestines would scatter as fragments, and all the pieces that made up my body would become dust scattered into the universe. This was what originally should have happened. What is this? He tried again. Doc Gak flicked his fingers 2 more times. However, there was no change. Not long afterwards, even the sparks disappeared. This is, the confused Doc Gak stared at his fingers. However, he still didn't understand. The problem wasn't his fingers. There was a chill and an enormous shadow appeared behind me, darkening my vision. Hey! Dakibi. Baihyang's giant shadow proved it. Once again, a Dakibi's power increased with their number of subscribers. The fear-stricken Doc Gak staggered back. Hao. You were talking very well earlier. What? I was illegally manipulating the scenario? A black arm emerged from Baihyang's shadow and grabbed Doc Gak's neck, raising him into the air. The jerk who steals the incarnations of others, who taught you business ethics? You absolutely won't be safe if you do this. What the fuck? Baihyang's right arm swelled enormously. Go to Andromeda and find your concept. The shadow's fist burst through the shield on the ceiling and Doc Gak flew to the far side of the universe. He wouldn't die because he was a Dakibi, but he would be hit hard for a while. Baihyang let out a breath like he was relieved. By the way, I nearly died. I sighed with relief and approached Baihyang. The channel had just grown, but Baihyang seemed strange. We looked at each other and I was met with Baihyang's confused eyes. I couldn't tell if he was laughing or crying. Perhaps this was the expression that Dakibis made when they were really happy. Do you know what I am seeing right now? I didn't know, but I had an idea. It probably wasn't much different from what I'm seeing. The channel level has risen. The channel level has risen. The channel level has risen. A constellation who likes the Korean peninsula wants to be your sponsor. A constellation who wants historical reconciliation wants to be your sponsor. A constellation who likes to change gender wonders about your heart. A constellation that enjoys subculture is interested in you. The endless messages started to fill the ears of me and Baihyang. Now the stage would expand to the world.